Hello and welcome to another video with Gamers Class, guys. This is Shizzy Dota here, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you guys the concept of your starting items, how important they are, how you can actually work on them, and what are the things that you need to keep in mind as you go into a game and you're thinking about your starting items. So first and foremost, I'm going to be talking about all the roles in this video.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
We're going to be starting off by the mid lane. The mid lane is mostly very simple, guys. You never really go out of your way too much to buy a completely different item or something. The starting items for a mid laner is very typical, and it is something like you go with circlets, Iron Branch, Fairy Fire. If you want to take a trade with the enemy, obviously a Fairy Fire is nice, and then you're basically buying some more items for the Null Talisman, Raid Band, or Bracer, respectively of the hero that you're playing. If you're playing an Intel hero, you're buying small items for the Null Talisman. If you're playing Agility, you're buying small items for the Raid Band. And if you're playing a Strength hero, you're buying small items for the Bracer with Fairy Fire. Now, melee heroes obviously do start with a Calling Blade as well at the mid lane, such as Ember, Monkey, White Spirit, Ember Spirit. All these heroes, they start with a Calling Blade so they can CS better. And range heroes, they just go for the Null Talisman Rush or, Raid Band, Bracer, so on and so forth. Now here is a great example of why itemizing from the very start and thinking about what items you have to buy even before the game starts is so important. So the Zeus started with a magic stick, and obviously this is an immortal game, so the Zeus is smart. Normally I see in the lower brackets people play quite reactionary, and you don't want to play reactionary, you have to play proactive in Dota if you want to have a lead. So this guy already started with a magic stick because he knows that the Batrider is going to be mid, and the Batrider is going to constantly spam his Q, which is the sticky napalm, on the Zeus. So he started with the magic stick, and now he already has 9-1 charges. If he was playing reactionary, he's like, oh, okay, so I'm laning a Batrider, and now I have to buy a stick. He would buy a stick, and the stick would be delivered to him right now, and he would actually have 0 stick charges. But right now, he has 9, which is a pretty big advantage here. Alright, so thinking about the game even before it starts, it's very important. You have to think like, okay, so who am I going to lane? And what does this hero actually do? And how can I counter it with my items? Right? So that's a situation that could happen to you at the mid lane. This is also a situation that happens against Zeus. If you're laning against a Zeus is a hero that normally spams a lot of spells, so you want to start with a magic stick, right? Batrider spams the most spells, Bristleback as well. There are these kind of heroes where you should start off with a magic stick to have a higher impact from the very start, because the courier now delivers items very slowly at level 1 and level 2. So if you start off with these items, you'll have a bigger advantage, just like this Zeus does over here. Apart from this scenario, this example, there are a couple of other scenarios, such as, let's say the enemy wants to do a lot of physical damage on you. What do you buy? You buy armor. How can you buy armor? From small items. You can buy chainmail, you can buy ring of protection, or you can buy a raid band, depending on the hero that you're playing. If you're playing a hero that likes to buy phase boots, that prefers phase boots basically in the game, you can buy a chainmail early on, such as Ember Spirit, or Monkey King, or even Kanka. If you're playing a hero that does not like to buy these items, you can just buy a casual ring of protection just for some armor. And if you're playing a hero that would be okay with buying a raid band, you buy a raid band, because the raid band gives 1.5 armor and some agility, which will eventually make it almost 2 armor from 1 raid band. So maybe you could buy 1 raid band and you'd have some stats and armor, which will make things better. So that's some cases that could actually happen on the mid lane. So now I'd like to talk about the off lane, and this is definitely one of the most diverse lanes in the game, you have to constantly think about buying starting items on this lane. You cannot have a simple starting item like a standard starting item like the mid lane does. You constantly have to change your starting items on the off lane because it is a very diverse lane. You not only have to look at the carry as you're playing off lane, but you also have to look at the support and what kind of spells the supports throw at you. So, for example, in this particular case, so a lot of spells being casted by the PA basically with the dagger. So in this particular case, Magic Stick on the Beastmaster is very good, and since Beastmaster does not like to buy any armor items such as a chainmail or a ring of protection casually or a raid band, so in this particular case it's just better that the Beastmaster buys regen, and you can get this regen from a lot of things. You can get it from a small ring of regen, from a ring of health, or from a bracer, right? And it really depends on your hero, what you think would be good. Say you're playing a centaur and you want to buy a vanguard or a hood later on, then obviously a ring of health will be better. If you're playing a hero that does not like to buy these kind of items, then you can just buy a bracer for some extra stats. All of this is theory crafted, and it is something that you will have to learn over the course of time. There's no way that I could say, okay, so if you're playing this hero in this situation, you definitely have to buy this and this and this. It is something that you will have to learn over time, play matchups, understand matchups, and understand what your hero truly needs. And also understand how and what the enemy heroes are throwing at you. On the offlane, another thing that is very diverse when it comes to starting items is quite relevant to your pos 4 as well. So per se, if your pos 4 is not buying a lot of regen, then you have to buy a lot of regen for yourself. And I highly recommend communicating with your pos 4 about what he wants to do in the game and what his idea is as he goes into the game. Otherwise, say you're playing offlaner and you only buy one set of tangos, and your offlaner also, I mean your pos 4 already bought one set of tangos, you guys are gonna lose the regen battle in the lane. So either you buy more regen as the time goes on, or you talk to your support about it and you ask him to buy the extra regen, because extra regen is very important in the laning stage. Without salves, without tangos, without buying, you know, regen items, it's highly likely that you will basically lose your lane. So let's talk about the safe lane now, guys. And on the safe lane, things are pretty much the same as the off lane, but you have to predict, do you have to play aggressive in this lane, or do you have to play defensive, or just in between? These are the things that you want to ask yourself as the game starts, and then you buy your starting items. So for the safe laner starting item, if you're playing a melee hero such as anti-mage, monkey, ember, or whatever, any melee hero, you obviously want to buy a culling blade so you can CS better, and then some stats. I personally recommend buying a fairy fire because it's really good for trades. If the enemy are using basically their pos 5, pos 4 and offlaner tri-laning you to first blood you at level 1, which is very common these days in pubs, this fairy fire will actually save you from bad situations, and it gives you 2 damage, which helps you with CS, so it's quite a lot of value. I actually recommend this fairy fire on every lane, even on the supports. It's just that much good, obviously if you can afford it. Now, another thing that you want to keep in mind as you go into the safe lane, you want to look at the enemy heroes, and you want to see, okay, so this is what they're going to throw at me. What do I buy? If I can be aggressive, I can buy Orb of Venom, right? If I cannot be aggressive, I should buy just regen item and stat items and focus on CSing. So say you're playing anti-mage against Pango and Spirit Breaker. Do you think you can be aggressive against these heroes with a Crystal Maiden on your side? It's highly unlikely. Why? Because they're 2 high base damage heroes which are going to constantly right click you. The Spirit Breaker is going to constantly bash you, and early on in the game you really can't kill them in any way because both have escape abilities. One has charge and the other has swashbuckle on the Pango. So it's extremely hard to kill them or even pressure them. So buying an Orb of Venom in the start is not going to be favorable. But let's say you're playing a monkey here against these heroes, then you can start off with an Orb of Venom because you can definitely zone them out. So, buying your starting items, guys, again, it is all about predicting the lanes, predicting and understanding what the enemy is going to throw at you, and then try to counter what they throw at you with your items. And then, if you buy good starting items, you have a good lane, and then you can transition into a good mid game with these starting items that you bought. So the key thing here to understand is that you have to evaluate, basically, what the enemy will throw at you. That's literally all you gotta do. If you're laning an offlane Bat Rider, Magic Stick. If you're laning offlane Zeus, Magic Stick. If you're laning tanky cores that you need to chase down, buy Orb of Venom from the very start, so you can constantly right click them. If they're playing bully heroes that are gonna bully you, buy region and stat items constantly so you don't get zoned out or bullied out of the lane. It's all about predicting and understanding what the enemy is going to throw at you. And yep, that's pretty much it for the safe lane as well. And now let's talk about the supports, guys. I think both supports pretty much have the same ideology as you go into the game. It's just that the plus 4 has a higher priority on farming, but the ideology and the way you play these heroes are pretty much the same. So as a support, you're going to evaluate your lane by understanding what your core needs. So per se, you're playing plus 5 and you realize, okay, the enemy lane seems to be stronger than ours. What you want to do is you want to start off with a lot of regen, such as salves, tangos, mangoes, and don't be hesitant to use these salves, because your job is to keep your carry or offlaner healthy. That's it. You want to ensure that he has a good game. If he has a good game, you will have a good game. That is the most important thing to understand as a support, not just for starting items, but overall as Dota as well. If your core is not having a good game, it's highly likely that you will also not have a good game yourself. So it is that much important to buy this regen, buy mangoes for him, buy tangos for him. And if you realize, okay, we have a stronger lane, then you buy items that will help you snowball. Then you don't want to buy regen, you want to buy boots, you want to rush that urn of shadows. There's so many items that you could actually go for, but you want to you want your starting items to be in a way where you're playing aggressive. It could be boots, it could be just some base damage from a null talisman as a support. Even it really depends on how you evaluate your lane. And like I said in the start of this video, it is gonna take time. You will have to play a lot of games, you will have to go into matchups, but just keep in mind, as you're going into these matchups, you have to think about the lane, and you have to constantly think about what went wrong, what went good, and then evaluate these games and try to master it, step by step. Obviously it's gonna take time.
This'll come in handy.
Another thing about supports, guys, is that you always want to buy sentries pre-hand. For example, if you're about to lane a Weaver or a Clinks or a Bounty Hunter, you want to buy sentries and dusts pre-hand. Well, not the dust obviously, but you guys get the idea here, that having detection is going to help your core have a better game. There are so many kills that you miss if you don't just casually carry a dust or sentries with you, and this kill could change the laning stage for your core as well. So having sentries on your starting items are pretty good. They help you deward wards, they help you kill the Hawk of the Beastmaster, and they help you give vision on enemy invisibility heroes if you're laning one. So again, all about evaluation, guys. All about evaluation. Looking at enemy heroes, are they invisible? Are they aggressive? Are they defensive? Are they greedy? Just constantly evaluating and then buying your items in that sense is what is going to determine the early stages of the game for you. Your early game is entirely dependent on your starting items. And yep, that's what you want to look at. I hope this video has helped you out with buying your starting items. As I said, it is something that will take time. It is something that you will have to play a lot of matchups on, and once you get a hold of it, you will get better at it, and you will actually start increasing MMR playing better, and just having a better fun time playing Dota overall. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe on the video. I will see you guys in the next video. Shizzy Dota signing out. Good luck for your games, guys.